beautiful coffee beans. Welcome to the Manic Monday episode of the Bullhorn Betty channel. I'm Bullhorn Betty. We have a variety of cases that we are covering, and we have some major breaking news that is going to disturb the mind, set aside from our four main cases. We've got children missing out of California. We've got other cases going on. We're going to be going through all of this in today's episode of the Bullhorn Betty Show. We also have 5 cards for $5 for our goals. What is the universe saying to you? Don't forget to hit that like button. Come on in, grab your beverage, get comfortable. The Bullhorn Betty channel and show starts right now.
Bullhorn Betty rocks.
Coffee steaming, files on the table. We clocking early, hunt what's unstable. Bullhorn Betty on the curb, voice raised. Flip-flop queen with the homemade phrase. Notebook thick, got the screenshots flag. Names in red ink, every rumor, every tag. Late night live stream, screen glow on her face. Truth in her throat, got a lawman's pace. She don't blink when the threats roll through. Come see me, she says, if you think that's cute. Bullhorn Betty in the coffee club. We hunt bad guys till the sun comes up. From the front porch steps to the courthouse rug. We fighting for the ones that they gave up. Bullhorn Betty in the coffee club. Sip that truth from a styrofoam cup. From the quiet streets to the madhouse buzz. We ain't letting go till we get that justice. Insane Asylum, that's our crew nickname. Laugh so loud while we track these names. Whiteboard wild with the webs we spin. Pen to pen, see the pattern sink in. Turmo shaking when the case goes cold. We stir it back up, won't do what we're told. Doorstep question, side eye stare. Where were you that night? We hanging right there. Bullhorn Betty in the coffee club. We hunt bad guys till the sun comes up. From the front porch steps to the courthouse rug. We fighting for the ones that they gave up. Bullhorn Betty in the coffee club. Sip that truth from a styrofoam cup. From the quiet streets to the madhouse buzz. We ain't letting go till we get that justice. This for the faces on the milk cart labels. This for the families praying at tables. This for the names that the news won't say. We say them out loud every single day. Every day. If you're running in the dark, better feel that fear. Betty got a bullhorn right in your ear. Coffee club crazy, but we think so clear. One small town, whole world gonna hear. Hey! Bullhorn Betty in the coffee club. We hunt bad guys till the sun comes up. From the front porch steps to the courthouse rug. We fighting for the ones that the day gave up. Bullhorn Betty in the coffee club. Sip that truth from a styrofoam cup. From the quiet streets to the madhouse buzz. We ain't letting go till we take red trust.
Well, good morning, my beautiful people. I hope you guys are doing well. This Manic Monday, it is Manic Monday. We are kicking off the week with a bunch of cases that are a little crazy. We have some breaking news, not on the 4 subjects that we're talking about this morning, but other cases that are very important we're not diving in on, but you need to know about, and we're going to be discussing those to start off. Before we get started, guys, I just want to say good morning. It looks like Melanie's already going to get 5 cards. Let me figure out what cards we're going to give you. Crush your goals. I like these cards. I'm going to give you 5 of these cards. I know you don't care because every time I ask you, you're like, just pick them for me. So I'm going to pick them for you. DeBoss, Melanie, it's nice to see you. Thank you. Melanie says, happy Monday, Betty. Delilah, mods in chat, sending love to you, BHB, and everyone, and prayers to whoever needs them. Thank you so much. You are definitely one of our prayer angels. along with Let Them 66. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, good morning, good morning. We've got Da Boss. It's nice to see you. Eeyore. Good morning. Rose. Denise. The Ruby Pearl Glamper. Illinois girl. It's nice to see you. Good morning. Sister Karen. Mr. Dunham. Good morning. Mr. Seth. It's nice to see you, sir. Trust the Process. KMH. 701 Live Junkie. Well, good morning and welcome. Welcome. Veronica, it's nice to see you. YouTuber Peggy. Little Orange Man, True Crime. Justice up in the house. Yo, yo, mama, yo. Hey, hey, hey. It's nice to see you. I hope you are doing super well. Me Blondie, it's nice to see you. Who else do we have? I think I've said hi to everyone. Frank it up. It's nice to see you. Good morning. Whispering Winds. Well, good morning, love. I hope you're doing well. Sig, it's nice to see you. Good morning, love. Eric, good morning. Good morning. Good morning. And anybody else that's out there, Pax, good morning. It's nice to see you. Anybody else out there in the ether that is watching from the bushes or just kind of saying, I'm at work and I can't type, I can listen, but I can't pay attention. Well, good morning to you as well. Happy Manic Monday. I hope you guys have an amazing day at work today. For those that are going to work, for those that are sitting home, I hope you have an amazing day with me because we will be here. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. These are what Melanie needs to hear, or somebody else in the chat. Like, I believe that these cards are coming up random, that even if the person that is getting the cards doesn't need to see or hear the message, somebody in the chat does. So I think it's an awesome way. Good morning. Whatever you're ready for is ready for you. Woo-hoo-hoo. Very little is needed to make a happy life. Ooh, I love that. I love that. Okay, come on. Where's my, there's my buttons. Okay, we got these buttons now. Right? Whatever you're ready for is ready for you. Very little is needed to make life happy. I like that. I like that. Somebody needs to hear that. Somebody needs to hear that. Maybe it's you, Melanie. Maybe it's somebody else. Laughter is the shortest distance between two people. Oh, I love that. There are some things you learn best in calm and some in the storm. Ooh. So you learn some things in the calm and you learn some things in the storm, but laughter is the shortest distance between two people. Love that. Love that. Life is best experienced with a sense of awe, wonder, and discovery. Go about life with a child's curiosity. Ooh, let's see what's on the other side. Be kind whenever possible. It is always possible, except in Bullhorn Betty's world. Just joking. Maybe that one was for me. Maybe that one's for me. Peggy, I'll get to you next. Which cards do you want? You want to come from the same deck or do you want a new deck? Here's another one. Among the things you can give and still keep are your word, a smile, and a grateful heart. Ooh, I love that. It's not what happens to you, it's what you do before it, during it, and after it. Oh, I like that. I like that. I like that. Peggy, did you respond back? Handsome man, it's nice to see you, love. I hope you're doing well. Lisa, good morning. Be Betty fan, good morning. Waiting for Peggy to respond here. Dee, good morning. So let me know which cards if you want the same deck of cards. Celebrate any progress. Don't wait to get it perfect. We know the rule over here on the Bullhorn Betty channel. We do not believe in perfection. Success in life should be determined by contributions, not accumulations. Ooh, I like that. I like that. Dee, good morning. Good morning. I still haven't gotten a response back from Peggy. We'll give her a few more seconds to see if she's got if she knows what deck of cards she wants. We've got Peggy. I see her saying hi. Peggy, if you're doing the card things, which, same deck. Okay, perfect. 1, let's do 2, 3, 4. We got those. There we go. Okay, let's see what you got. What's in the wheelhouse for you? Do we have 5? We got 5. All right. Always new, always exciting, always full of promise. The mornings of our lives, each a personal daily miracle. The doors we open and close each day decide the lives we live. Ooh, that's a powerful one, huh? I want to read that to you guys again. This is pretty powerful. Always new, always exciting, always full of promise. The mornings of our lives, each a personal daily miracle. The doors we open and close each day decide the lives we live. Oh, I love that. Oh, I love that. I love that. I love that. I love that. Do good and care not to whom. Woo! Another powerful one. Do good and do not care to whom. Just do good. All appears to change when we change. These are some powerful messages this morning. I love it. This is the fuel for our hearts and souls. Live today, not yesterday, not tomorrow, just today. Inhabit your moments. Don't rent them out to tomorrow. I like these. Slow down and everything you are chasing will come around and catch you. Slow down and everything you are chasing will come around and catch you. I love these cards. Good cards, good cards. The world is round and the place which may seem like the end may also be the beginning. How beautiful it is to be alive. Oh, I love that. How beautiful it is to be alive. Come on, buttons, work. That's some good juju, isn't it? This is good for the soul. This is good food for the soul right here. This is going to be a good one, too. Peggy, you got 5 good ones. So did you, Melanie. Life is always now. Nobody can experience our lives for us. Ah, that gave me goosebumps. Look at this. I got goosebumps. Let's read that again. Nobody can experience our lives for us. I started with the back first. Life is always now. Life is always now. No one can experience our lives for us. Oh, I love that. Thank you for the 2 people that participated in that. We appreciate you, Melanie and Peggy. Those were some good cards. Those were some really, really good cards. Love the messages. Yes, it was really good. That was fun, guys. I super enjoyed that. That really kind of gets us started because, this show is so gunky. We talk about like the worst of the worst in humanity and in society, and just to reclaim a little bit of that happiness and empowerment. It was nice. That was definitely, I think, what we needed first thing this Monday morning. So good morning, guys. If you're just coming in or on the replay crew, do me a solid. Leave that DNA on that thumbs up button. If you're not getting your messages, don't do it while we're live because we have a 20-minute wait for you guys to respond. But after the show, if you know you're not getting the notifications, the best way to resolve that, some of you guys are new here for the first time or are just paying attention to the true crime community. So you probably don't know all the ins and outs of this community or YouTube as a whole. Occasionally, YouTube likes to make sure that our audience are still coming around and still want us. So they change some settings. And it seems almost quarterly. It could be every couple months, but it seems like every 3 months I'm noticing it, and I've been noticing it for the last 5 years. Is that a routine? I don't know. But it seems like they do this thing where they stop notifying people. If you don't, after 2 notifications, if you don't hit the notification, it thinks you don't want the notification anymore and automatically turns them off for you. It turns them to personalized, where they only notify you here and there, about these shows. So the best way to kind of gyrate that again, is to unsubscribe, resubscribe, and turn that bell to all. And so whenever you do that, it kind of resets the system, and it lets the system know, oh, I'm still a fan and I still want to get those notifications. Why it does this, again, I don't know. Why does social media, why do they make you make 2 posts when you're writing an article about news on Facebook? I don't know, because they like the extra click. I can't make this stuff up. I don't know what drives these social media oligarchs. I don't know what drives them. I just know they have stupid rules. Okay? So is it a stupid rule? Probably. But I know that there's a lot of people reaching out to me saying they're not getting my notifications. And so the only way that gyrates that back into existence is the unsubscribe, resubscribe, and changing the bell. It's the only thing that I've noticed that kind of shakes the system and starts getting the notifications to you. So that's just a little tidbit of information should you need it. Okay, so now we're going to kind of start on a case that is not part of our 4. We're going to go through our breaking news stories right now. And our breaking news stories have nothing to do with the topic of conversation. Our 4 cases you see on the thumbnail. So a Virginia man is accused of kidnapping a Milwaukee girl who was missing for 4 years. This is what the complaint is saying. And I do have a little video that I will be showing you guys here in just a moment about the case. But until then, I'm going to read you guys the article. So a Virginia man is facing multiple charges for kidnapping a missing girl from Milwaukee and holding her against her will for 4 years. This is important because this stuff is happening all over the country. We're hearing a lot of these kids are being, targeted on social media or gaming programs. Parents, I can't stress this enough. I cannot stress this enough. Your children are in danger if you're giving them electronics and not monitoring it. It is a new world. We lock our windows and doors to keep bad guys out of our house, away from our family to hurt them. And now the unlocked door is your gaming system. So not monitoring your children on these gaming systems is equal to leaving your front door open in the middle of the night saying, I've got young girls in my home, please come in and take them. Okay? That's basically what you're doing. And I want to put it out there like that because people need to start thinking of these things like this. Okay? People are being preyed upon, and it's mostly girls. Some of them are boys. You guys got to remember, we have a disgusting underbelly of society. A very, very, very disgusting underbelly of society. Milwaukee right here. This is freaking terrifying. This is so close to home. It is. It is. Very close to home. Milwaukee. So a Virginia man is facing multiple charges for kidnapping this girl. Not only kidnapping this girl, but keeping her against her will for 4 years. According to the criminal complaint, the 15-year-old victim met 37 years old. Do you think a 15-year-old girl wants a 37-year-old? A 37-year-old, that's like her father. Cut it out. And of course, she met Owen Anderson online. She told him about her struggles at home with different types of abuses. Anderson convinced her to leave her Milwaukee home and promised her that he would never hit her, scream at her, and that he would care for her by providing her food. He also told her he wanted to cuddle when he picked her up, and she lived with him, according to the complaint. This is disgusting. On June 23rd, 2022, the mother of the 15-year-old reported her missing. On July 7th, 2022, a Milwaukee police officer recovered surveillance video near the Hubbard Street and Reservoir Avenue. Another officer was able to confirm that the 15-year-old girl was spotted in the video, screenshotted it, and shared it with the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. And I want to remind you guys that these children, they think that they're meeting somebody that is their age. And they're already preconditioning the child to have an older person pick them up. Like, my father's going to pick you up, but don't worry, just get in the car. He'll bring you to me. It'll be safe, right? Instead of him being in the car with his father to pick her up. So there's always this excuse of why this older person needs to pick this child up, but don't worry, don't be alarmed, right? And that is the manipulation aspect of it. But don't think that they're not being manipulated. They're absolutely being manipulated. They're being manipulated. And so, and they're freely walking out. So they're doing this on their own accord, right? They're making a plan with this person, and they're leaving their homes, packing bags, and going and being willing to stay with these people until they get there and they realize, oh my gosh, this is not a 15-year-old boy. This is a 37-year-old man, and he's chaining me up to a bed. Right? And then by that time, it's too late for everybody. Mom doesn't know where you are. Dad doesn't know where you are because you snuck out because your boyfriend, what you thought was your boyfriend, your little 15-year-old boyfriend told you to do this. And you got in the car with his so-called daddy. And daddy is not a so-called daddy. He's just a perv kidnapping you. And by that time, it's too late. Nobody knows anything. And by that time, the 15-year-old child or even younger realizes what happened. And they know for themselves, it's too late. When that child is finally captured, they know they messed up. That moment that they realize they messed up, and there's nothing they can do about it. And there's nobody there to help them or save them. That's the reality of what we're dealing with in this country right now. And this has been going on for years. There are so many cases like this across the country we don't even know about yet. Hey, Frank, I'll sing you a happy birthday song here in just a second. Happy birthday, by the way. So on May 26, 2026, Milwaukee police received a call from an out-of-state police department. According to the complaint, Lieutenant reported that his agency made contact with the 15-year-old during a domestic dispute that originated from a 911 call. So I just want to make sure that you guys understand that she's 15 now, and they're saying that she's been gone for 4 years. That means this 37-year-old man took her when she was most likely 11 years old. I just want to set this into perspective for everybody. Then life at home isn't so bad. I know it isn't so bad, but every kid goes through this where parents tell them no. And, but there are some kids out there that are vulnerable because their parents do abuse them. They verbally abuse them. They're drunks. They're drug addicts. And they're bringing all these different people over. They're stealing their money. They're stealing, these kids' monies and stuff like that. Everything that they're getting, their mommy or daddy's stealing it from them to go get a fix or get alcohol or something like that because they need it, but more than their child needs it. There are reasons why kids leave home, and they run right into the arms of these predators. And mommy and daddy are too washed out to even give a shit. Now, this is only some of the cases. I want to be very clear. We've covered so many cases where we have good mommies and daddies, and their kids still got sucked into this Roblox, conversation, and they're packing a bag and going to meeting it. And remember that guy, the one with the tattoos all over his face? Looked like he's made a lot of mistakes in his life, but you know what? He loved his daughter, and he definitely doesn't want his daughter going down those roads. And he broke into a freaking boat and saved his daughter's life. By that time, it's too late. The damage is done. We need to get them before that point. So anyways, they came in contact with this 15-year-old during a domestic dispute. She did not originally disclose her name. She eventually admitted she was a missing person from Milwaukee and was being held against her will for years. During that time, she told officers Anderson physically and essayed her. According to the complaint, the 15-year-old told investigators that she originally communicated with Anderson on Kik or Discord and Signal platforms. He forced her to provide video of her performing explicit moves to prove she was not with the police whenever they first communicated. Anderson threatened to release the video if she did not obey his commands. On May 27, 2026, Milwaukee police officers went out of state to conduct an investigation surrounding her disappearance. On May 28th, the officers searched a home belonging to Anderson and found numerous electronic devices, flash drives, journals, and information where the two were located. She initially disappeared on It disappeared in Milwaukee on June 23rd, 2022. The 15-year-old had followed instructions from Anderson. According to the complaint, she purchased a burner phone using cash to communicate with Anderson. He arranged a ride share to pick her up and take her to Chicago. Once in Chicago, she met him at a movie theater. Anderson then reset her phone settings. Both of her phones were thrown away in Chicago. This guy was very well prepared to take this child, knew exactly what he was doing. And it scares me to all get out how in the world he was able to do this and know these tricks as if he did them before. Is there a missing child that's maybe deceased because of him? I don't know how people get so creative and clever to do these types of things and be able to elude police. But if he's able to do this, then imagine how many times this is being done around our country. All these kids that are missing. All these kids that are missing. Oh, let me go back to the video I wanted to show you guys. And I don't know if it's going to show them. I don't think it is. I think it's just going to be just some information, if I recall. We got a lot to go over. That's why.
Charges just filed against a Virginia man accused of kidnapping a Milwaukee teenager and holding her captive for nearly 4 years. In the criminal complaint, prosecutors say 37-year-old Owen Anderson convinced a 15-year-old girl to leave her mother's home in June of 2022. Prosecutors say the pair were communicating online since the girl was 12. Authorities say Anderson then took the girl out of state where they lived together until May of this year,
12 years
when
old.
the victim called police and told them who she is. During an interview,
this should be a capital crime. This should be a capital crime. A capital crime, folks.
with police, the victim said Anderson didn't let her attend school. She also said she was repeatedly sexually assaulted and whipped, saying, quote, "It's always my fault if he hits me."
Wow. Wow. Sad. Totally, totally sad. Totally preventable. Totally preventable. Guys, I'm just, this is totally preventable. This is sad. We also have another, now this is different. We had a case come out where a mom is accused of killing her son and putting her son inside of one of her makeshift walls in her house, and that was just found and disclosed. This is much different. This is out of Bexar County, Texas. Deputies discovered a dead body wrapped in plastic inside a West Bexar County bedroom closet while responding to a missing person report Sunday afternoon. This is why the interior home is so important for them to go through, because remember, Gann and Stalk, if the initial officers that did their original sweep would have looked inside those suitcases, they would have been arresting the stepmom right then and there before she ever went on the run throughout the state of Florida and across country from Colorado. And he was sitting right there in a suitcase. In a suitcase. You have a missing child. When you're searching the home and you have closed items like suitcases, you should pull them out. You never know. Maybe the child got in there. Maybe a friend put him in there and the parents didn't know. Maybe he needs help. Maybe he's dying. We don't know. But anyways, Bexar County Sheriff's Office was dispatched 4 p.m. to a resident in Fort Leonard near Poranco Road. Salazar said after 2 women reported 32-year-old missing. One of the women lived at the residence, the other lives elsewhere. So both told deputies the man described as white male was out of state who was a tenant at the home, had experienced night terrors. Salazar said they believed he had left the residence sometime overnight. During a preliminary sweep of the home, Salazar said deputies found evidence of blood inside the residence. Continued to search, the deputies discovered a body wrapped tightly in plastic inside a closet of one of the bedrooms. Investigators have not officially confirmed the body is that of the man reported. I would hope it's the man that's in the closet, unless he killed somebody, wrapped them in the closet, and took off. And the cause and manner of death remains pending. A medical examiner determined. However, Salazar said the circumstances are highly suspicious. Well, I don't propose the man wrapped himself in the plastic. It's just highly unlikely that anybody would harm themselves, then wrap themselves up in plastic as tightly as they found here. So he was wrapped pretty tightly. Deputies also found evidence of trauma and signs of someone attempting to clean up what investigators are treating as a crime scene. So that's another breaking news story that's just disturbing, highly, highly, highly disturbing. We're also finding out 2 girls are missing from California. Their father kidnapped them, and we know how parental kidnappings can end. They're just as serious as any other. I was ignorant to those facts with some of the other cases we covered because, you know, I had this thing where I thought maybe the father was the Decker case, just wanted extra time with the children. You know, he was about to lose custody because he was about to lose his car. That means he was about to lose his job. That means, he was already home challenged. He didn't have really a home. And so I thought he took off with his 3 daughters to spend more time with them because the courts were being unfair to him and keep taking his time away from his daughters. I never imagined in my wildest dreams that he would murder his 3 beautiful little girls, and he did. And then he went off into the woods and did himself in. And so that was kind of my first wake-up call that, you know, these parental abductions are serious. In many cases, more serious than the stranger danger, because just like we had that little boy, that little toddler, his father, you know, snatched him and came back without him, and then he was found in a suitcase. It's just happened just a few days ago, within the last week. You know, those are the types of cases that could keep you up at night when you find out family members or fathers or mothers steal their kids or kidnap their kids. You're wondering, what are they planning on doing? Are they planning on getting rid of the child? And that once upon a time didn't even scratch the surface of my mind, you know, before I was in true crime. But now I know the statistics. So these girls were snatched out of their home. They were snatched out of their home by their father. They still have not been found. They're still missing at this time. So I want to show you their faces. Please take a good look at them. These are 2 siblings. These are from California. So this is for my California family. So I don't anticipate a lot of people from California being up at this time of morning because it's literally like 5 turning into 6. So the people that are from California are probably going to be watching this video on replay crew. Melody Buzzard, a good example. Yep. But she wasn't really abducted. She was living with her mother, and her mother took her across country in a disguise, and it was highly suspicious. But she wasn't abducted. She was actually in her mom's care. These are being abducted. They're in the care of somebody else, and and their father went and took them. That's, you know, parental kidnapping. Melody Buzzard, I don't think really falls under the parental kidnapping because she wasn't kidnapped. She was with her mother. So these are twin siblings. They were allegedly abducted by their father on July 23rd. Solomon and I can't even pronounce their name are with their dad, David Shukonik. And they were last seen in a 2011 black Lincoln Town car with the license plate Solo YST, SOLOYST. Police are still searching for the family members days later. The 2 siblings were allegedly abducted by their father in California. According to the news release from California County Sheriff's Department, 9-year-old Solomon and Marazina were allegedly abducted by their father, David, at the 1000 block of West Avenue JH in the city of Lancaster at 8 p.m. local time on Thursday, July 23rd. Authorities described the girls as white females with brown hair, brown eyes, and 4 feet 4 inches tall, about 90 pounds. Thank you so much, Phil. Appreciate you. She was last seen wearing pink shorts and white shirt, police says. Again, twins missing. There's the picture of their father that took them. Her twin brother, Solomon, is described. Okay, so here we go. So one's a girl. This is the girl. This is the boy. Her brother, Solomon, is described. White male, brown hair, brown eyes, 4 feet 90 inches, and he was wearing shorts, blue shorts. There's the town car that they were kidnapped in, the actual vehicle. That is the actual vehicle. So we noticed that there's, bubbles in the, I can see right on the back, bubbles in the tinted windows. It looks like an older town car. It's 2011. So both children have been deemed at risk by authorities. You're asked to call 666-940-3855 or Crime Stoppers at 800-222-TIPS, 222-TIPS, or 8477. So there you guys go. And then it looks like we're circling back. As you guys know, Adam Walsh was the beginning, to be honest with you, the beginning of the true crime community, in my opinion. I think that the kidnapping, the abuse, and the murder of Adam Walsh was the beginning, many, many years ago, of this true crime culture. His father was so aggrieved, he wanted to do something, and developed America's Most Wanted. And that was a national sensation. Everybody waited until 8 or 9 o'clock. I can't remember exactly when it came on. I think it was on Friday or Saturday. We all got around to wait for America's Most Wanted. And a lot of households across this country did the same thing. It was a very, very popular TV show and TV series. America's Most Wanted. So, and there's been variations of it, you know, over the years. The Walsh family is still very much involved. Now, I've learned a lot about the Walsh family. We're not going to go into that. I don't think it's appropriate on this. You know, if we do decide to go in through the Walsh family, it's not as, you know, sweet and kind as many people would like. As many of you know, when you have a child that dies young, most of the other children are, not that they're cast aside, it's just that struggling to comprehend what happened to your child really does take you away from your family. And when you don't have answers and you just want answers, it's good. It's very easy to be obsessed with something. And John Walsh, you know, he was obsessed in getting bad guys off the street in hope of finding out who did this to his son. And if you guys know, his son went without justice for decades. And finally, by the time I think that his son finally did get justice, the man was dead. It wasn't really justice. And that's if I remember the story of Adam Walsh well, which I can't remember. You know, this happened many years ago, and I'm going off of memory here. I'm not going to read this, but too much. But I just want to remind you of where we did come from, you know. Who killed Adam Walsh inside the murder case that inspired a father to host America's Most Wanted. I do recommend you guys reading this article. His son was 6 years old when he was abducted. He was essayed and murdered as a result of that. And it was very, very, very difficult. This happened right here in the state of Florida. And it's, for people like me, it has... you know, it's one of those cases because I was just a toddler. I was just a baby when this case happened. I was just a baby. Like baby. I don't even think it was a full year old or maybe just a little over a year old when this case happened. Baby. All the parents and moms and dads out there, if I remember correctly, you know, and of course I didn't remember, it was stuff that was told to me over the years. Everybody was unnerved about this, especially if you lived in the state of Florida. And I'm sure this has been scarred into my mom's head because, again, she had 2 babies when this case was going on. Babies younger than, rest in peace, Alex Twitter. What happened? He lost his Twitter account again? Yeah, I don't understand that. But either way, you know, he really was the beginning of this true crime genre. And many people don't dress it up like that. I'm going to dress it up like that because I'm part of the true crime genre. And I know what got me engaged in the true crime genre and all the cases that I have watched and been curious with for since I was little. This is another one that we're going to be getting started here for very, very shortly. We're almost an hour into the show, and I still haven't started all the topics. But newborn vanished after secret birth, and parents allegedly claim the baby doesn't exist. The baby was a prank, and now they're behind bars. This is very, very, very disturbing. And a Florida couple accused of claiming their missing infants never existed has been arrested in North Carolina after a year-long investigation in the child's presumed death. Leon Alejandro Jr., 21, and Samantha Feliz, 20, both of Hollywood, Florida, were arrested Wednesday in Rockingham, North Carolina, where investigators said they fled while Hollywood police investigated the disappearance of their infant. The pair were taken into custody by investigators with Richmond County Sheriff's Office and the U.S. Marshal Service and booked into Richmond County Jail on fugitive of justice warrants, and they are being held without bond pending extradition to Florida. So they're going to be coming back here. Here are the parents, and they're smiling. They're intake photos, they're grinning ear to ear. An infant baby is dead. Their infant baby. A baby they created together because they allegedly love each other so much. And they're smiling in their booking photos. This will be presented in their murder and homicide trial. And I can tell you, Florida, if you guys are watching from jail, Florida don't play. And you guys doing something nasty to a freaking infant, fry baby fry. Fry baby fry. Fry baby fry. Couple charged with manslaughter after allegedly claiming their baby had never been born and it was a complete and utter prank. They're trying to say they're calling the birth a prank. I guess we can say, I mean, it's definitely clever, how they're arguing this case for them being so young. It's quite clever. But either way. All right, guys, there's the breaking news that all of you guys need to know. We're going to get started here with Mitch McConnell. I'm going to get through this just really quickly. If you guys are on other social media, like my X account, my Facebook account, my Instagram account, or any of those, you will already know pretty much the statement I'm going to be making here related to Mitch McConnell. Mitch McConnell has been missing. He's MIA. Nobody understands whether he's dead or alive, and that is a true statement. I presume he's not deceased technically, like they haven't given him a death, they haven't ruled, given him a date of death yet, a DOD. So it's telling me, because we've got some audio from the day that he was picked up, and his staffers are being deceptive about it. We learned that they were performing CPR on them, and they're trying to say he just merely had a fall. But we do have recordings of the dispatch saying that they're performing CPR now. So I know that he was in dire straits, more so than what his staff is trying to allude here. His wife, literally the day after he succumbed to this, whatever happened, where they're literally performing CPR, she hightails it back to China. And I now, if you have a man that just had chest compressions, why are you hightailing it back to China? She's hightailing it back to China either to take evidence over there, or to get it out of their house, or whatever the case may be, or she's going over there to talk about, because she can't have this communication on the record. She's got to be there personally so they can have verbal communication. And I pretty much think that because I've always believed Mitch was ran by the Communist Party. I believe his wife is absolutely a double agent. I believe she works for China. I've always believed this. I believe the lady should, I think that Mitch McConnell should have been thrown out on his ass from the Senate a long time ago, facing some serious charges. Serious charges, but that's just me. And this is from years ago. Well, I don't believe he is just merely getting strength, because why the photo? Why not a video? I mean, if he's so good, the way that they're saying is that he's perfectly fine, completely lucid, that he can, he's just healing, he's just getting some therapy and stuff like that. People are saying they're having great lucid conversations with him. Great. Then why can't he do a video and say, hey, America, I just wanted to tell you I'm getting the best care I can possibly get from XYZ community. They're taking really good care of me. I will be back soon. They won't do that. Why? Because I truly believe they're keeping this man alive on life support for no other purpose than to maintain control. And if I find out, and I think that they need to put his people, the people that do the stuff for him, his workers, they need to put them under oath. And if they lie, they need to throw them in jail for perjury. But at this point, I think that this is the first time in a while that the Democrats and Republicans have kind of joined forces to find out what happened to Mitch McConnell. So I'm very interested in what is going to be going on there. We have no other information. Scott Jennings is saying that we're learning that Scott Jennings, which is one of the guys that said, I had a perfect conversation with him the other day. One of Mitch McConnell's longtime ally admitted the missing Republican needs to be more transparent about his health and face growing backlash over his prolonged absence because he stuck his neck out. Scott Jennings stuck his neck out and said, I had a conversation with him. And it's a lie. All these people are lying, and now it keeps dragging out, and they're like, well, they need to be a little more transparent because they lied to the people. They're telling the people they had conversations with a man that's a freaking vegetable. From everything that I'm understanding, he's a vegetable. He's literally being left on by life support. That's what I'm hearing. Now, what I'm hearing and the reality and the truth of it is two totally different things, possibly. But it also could be very much real. We don't know because people are being too secretive. And you know what's really bothering me is the staff is saying, he's communicating with us about these certain votes. If the staff starts voting for him, they all need to be locked up. They all need to be arrested. We cannot have staff voting for a senator. So I'm very, very, very concerned about this. And I'd like to know what the hell is going on. And we need to physically hear Mitch McConnell's voice in real time. Oh, Wacom Texas Tech. Okay, well, great. Thank you. Just, tell the truth. Tell the truth. So we don't know what's going on with Mitch McConnell. We have no earthly idea. And we've learned that a Tennessee woman and her 2 children are trapped in France wildfires. So the next story we have is above my head, Americans trapped in France. If you guys don't know, France is on fire. They are having major wildfires breaking out, and it is consuming a lot of land. And we have people from America in France that live there, that are staying there, that are visiting there, that are vacationing there. And they're trapped. They didn't expect these wildfires to get out of hand. They didn't expect wildfires at all. But several high-profile international and local news agencies are actively reporting on trapped Americans, specifically focusing on a story of a Tennessee woman and her 2 young children trapped in the southwestern France wildfires. Because mass tourist infrastructure has been evacuated, major networks are highlighting her situation as a primary example of international visitors caught behind fire lines. So she's got her 2 children. I can't imagine being a mom with my 2 children in a different country. So the coverage is being handled by a lot of different news agencies. But I wanted to show you guys some of the ravaged, area here. This is what it looks like. It's crazy. And to think that there's Americans trapped in here. And this is not even in our country. The French president will hold a crisis cabinet meeting on Monday, today, as wildfires close in on the southwestern city of Bordeaux. Another heat wave is set to complicate efforts to tackle expanding blaze, which is about 9 miles from Bordeaux. Mayor Thomas, I can't pronounce the name. Earlier, he said there is no plans to evacuate the population of 850,000. Oh my gosh. Wildfires have raged across Europe over the past week, primarily in France and Spain, where more than 330,000 people have been evacuated across both countries. Macron, I think is what his name is, the president of France, said on Saturday that France will rebuild and his government would be there as long as needed. Tens of thousands of people have already been evacuated from Bordeaux's surrounding region, and France Interior Minister Laurent Nunez saying the situation remains unfavorable and the fires was moving erratically toward the city. The weather forecast for the country warned that temperatures could spike to 40 degrees Celsius in some areas. That's just one. We got wildfires live. Spain and France fight to contain the blaze. And again, lots of not lots, but there's a few Americans that are here. Over the phone, hospitals where his girlfriend was giving birth. He said he returned home, and several members of the family have already been hit by the fire. One of his aunts lost her home. His brother and a mother had to evacuate. So it's getting serious there, folks. It's getting serious, and I just wanted to make sure that you guys knew about the wildfires in France, and not just the wildfires in France, but here's some of the images. Give it just a second. Wow. It's bad.
And overnight, between Friday night and Thursday night and Friday morning, the city was evacuated while I was asleep. So I've remained while the city was evacuated, and the fires remain uncontrolled, and the roads are shut because they're on fire. There's no way to leave. I'm on the other side of an enormous national forest, one of the largest forests in France, an enormous national forest. And there's the beach, the town of Biscarrosse, where I am, this enormous forest that takes 45 minutes to drive through to get to the airport, and then the airport, and the entire enormous forest is on fire, and there's only one road that goes through the forest. There's only one road, and that road is on fire. I see no sense that it's going to ease up at all anytime soon. While it's not coming closer to me in Biscarrosse, it is moving north rapidly, and they're unable to control it.
Your children, what are you telling them? What are they telling you?
They were very concerned on Thursday night when they saw the wall of fire in the distance from my daughter's bedroom, and we saw the water planes going overhead. But I tell them that they're safe with me, and they're calm because I'm calm.
If there were any feeling that you're not alone, is that the military is there, that there are police officials there. I suppose that if you didn't see those authority figures, you might be a little bit much more anxious, I suppose. But the fact that you're in it with them, that gives you this sense of calm?
Correct. And also, I'm a Christian, and I have a lot of prayer that's being given my way, and I'm reading my Bible, and I have, my faith is getting me through this as well.
Right. Is there something that you've read recently from the Bible that, you know, that really hits, that makes me feel at peace?
Exodus 14:14, and I'm feeling a little flustered just thinking about it, but it's, be still, the Lord will fight for you, or the Lord will fight for you, you need only to be still.
Okay.
We did an operation in 6 days, arrested 266 people.
Let me just stop that. Okay, we just heard her, so we don't need that. Okay. So this is some pictures, just some stuff that I found, you know, about France and stuff like that. It's scary. I can't imagine. I just want to pray for Spain and France. but it's not necessary. I mean, it's for their country, but it's because there's a lot of Americans there. We should be praying for them anyways, but we need to be praying for our people to make it safe. You know, we've got children, we've got families over in a different country. This was not expected. This is raging out of control, and it's possible we could have, you know, loss of life, American lives, from these horrible you know, fires in France. We don't think things like France and Spain, fires over there in their country, will ever affect, you know, America. This is affecting us. We've got families there. So we need to be praying. We need to be praying. It's just, it's heartbreaking for me. It's just absolutely heartbreaking to see these. And as you see, people are starting to, you know, they're losing everything. So they need a place to sleep. So they're opening up their facilities for, you know, disadvantaged people to be able to come to. It's extreme weather. We're learning that it's extreme weather, and of course I'm not paying for CNN. There's no way in hell I'm paying $41.99 for a first year. What? CNN is very, very boastful. Who would pay that? Probably some, never mind. I shouldn't even ask that. That's stupid. All right, guys. So there you guys have it. There's your blaze of the day. We've got Americans trapped in France. Mitch McConnell, we have no earthly idea where he's at. Is he dead? Is he brain dead? Or is he truly getting therapy so he can make it back to the Senate floor? And if he's truly getting therapy and he's not brain dead and he's perfectly fine, just getting strength, why are they not recording him and getting a statement of him out to the public? It seems like a very easy task to put a lot of this nonsense to rest. And it seems like they don't want to do it. And when I hear things like that, it makes me wonder why. It makes me wonder why. And when I start asking why, well, then there's your answer. If something doesn't fit, it doesn't fit for a purpose. What is going on right now in Washington, D.C. with Mitch McConnell, everybody knows good and well they are being lied to, they are being deceived. And I believe Laura Loomer, she said that he was a vegetable. Nobody has proved otherwise. And she said that almost a month ago. I'm just saying. She told us within a few days after, don't forget Frank's birthday. Oh, yeah, thank you. Frank, it's your birthday. It's your birthday. Thank you, Miss Sonia. I forgot. I did almost forget Frank's birthday again. Sometimes I should just stop everything and just do it right then because I end up forgetting. So, Frank, birthday, it's Bullhorn Betty. Is it your birthday or Bullhorn Betty? It's probably your birthday. Probably your birthday. So we'll do, I'll put this up here. So there we go. We got a nice little echo going. Ready, guys? Sing Frank. Frank's been part of, let me put this down. Frank's been part of our family for quite some time. Frank's been here, I can't even remember when Frank came aboard, but I remember Frank's name. I can't remember how long I've seen Frank's name. It's been years. It's been years that I've seen Frank's name in our chat, Frank It Up. So, guys, please, Mitch posted on X. Awesome is here. Mitch posted. Okay, we'll get to that. Can somebody find the post from Mitch? I'll find the post from Mitch. But before we do that, let me just put this up here so I can remember it. Let's sing. Well, we have to do Frank Happy Birthday. We got Frank Happy Birthday. Ready, guys? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Frank. Happy birthday to with Brando. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Frank, enjoy it. Enjoy it. Nice touch. Nice touch. All right, we're done. We're done. We're done. Okay. Okay, folks. You had your fun. You had your fun. I had my fun, too. It's always fun. It's always fun. Well, happy birthday, Frank. We love you. Okay, Mitch posted on X. And I don't believe Mitch posted on X. I'm sorry. I've never believed Mitch posted on X, okay? I'm just going to say. All right, Mitch. I don't think he's posted on X. The last time he posted on X was like over a month ago. June 12th was the last time Senator McConnell posted on X. I encourage the President's nomination of Jay Clayton to be the Director of National Intelligence. Mr. Clayton is known to the Senate and his distinguished prior service overseeing sensitive financial investigations. Yeah, like this brain dead twit can formulate that. We know that that's from his staff. His staff. So no, he hasn't posted on there's his account. He hasn't posted since June 12th. He's posted 0 since June 12th. Since June 12th. It's been over 45 days. All right, let's get back to this. So now we're moving over to Miss Nancy Guthrie. Oops, wrong side. Miss Nancy Guthrie. Miss Nancy Guthrie, 84-year-old grandmother, ripped out of her bed in the middle of the night by a masked gunman. This happened in Pima County, Arizona. And I've got to tell you guys, this case has plagued us, and we bounce back and forth between Annie and Tommaso. There's some articles here that we're going to go over where Annie is selling a car, and it sounds like it's a recent car, according to this article. And it's not. It's from before Miss Nancy Guthrie ever went away. Why this selling of this car is this big news article? I have no earthly idea. It's stupid. It's stupid. But Miss Nancy Guthrie, she has, she's had quite the life. Her life was tattered with a lot of loss. She lost her husband, which was a mining engineer. He lost his life in Mexico when he was 49 years old. She was 46 years old. She had 2 teenage daughters and a grown son. And she had a mom and a brother that had Down syndrome that she was trying to care for, all while dealing with her husband's, I got a little hairs. Her husband passing away, and she being a homemaker. She's never had a job. She's taken care of her family and been a homemaker because her husband was the breadwinner, and they were a traditional family. Back then, and she had to step up to the plate and find a way to, keep the house afloat, take care of her family, take care of her mom, take care of her brother, do a lot of different things, and that she was able to do. I don't know how she was able to do it, but she did it, and she was able to keep her family together and maintain the home that her husband bought for her and her family for all of these years. And so this home wasn't met with one tragedy. This home was met with 2. Oh, thank you. New ID. It's Robin. I saw you said it was Robin. I said, I gotcha. Reckenham, Texas Tech. We love it, Miss Robin. We love it. Good for you. So now we know who you are. Now we know who you are. Now we know not to talk behind her back. When we see that name in the chat, we know we gotta. Shh, don't be saying that. Don't want Robin to hear. Shh, guys. We only talk about her behind her back, not in front of her face. Shh, shh. She's here. She's here. She's here. She's here. There's my laughy. There we go. It's just, my laughy one's just never going to work. It just doesn't want to work. I can't even figure where to push it on the button to get it to work. It's like, it's just not working. Look at that. I pushing this whole time and I got one laugh. So I got to push that shit hard. Excuse my language. All right. So now we're getting on to Miss Nancy Guthrie's house, or case. And this is a case that has really rocked this nation recently. Not only has it rocked the nation recently for the details of this case, you know, a little old lady, a frail old lady being ripped out of her bed in the middle of the night by a masked gunman. We can't imagine what she went through, but to see the blood dripping out of her house, it's even worse. It's even worse. So we know something tragic and something violent happened to Miss Nancy Guthrie, but we don't know what. And she was visiting her family, and many people believe her daughter and her son-in-law are responsible for this. And statistically, it would be an acquaintance over the family with her details of her case. She's an elderly woman. She's, you know, sharp. She lives alone. She has family nearby, but she lives alone. And, you know, the factors of her case would indicate that we would have a higher percentage of it being an acquaintance that caused her harm than her own family. Now, her family does rank second, right, as being a number 2 contributor statistically into deaths of elderly people. But again, it comes second to an acquaintance. The acquaintance is 59% likely versus like 23% being family. Big difference, big difference. So if it was somebody and it wasn't a stranger danger, it'd be more, according to the statistics, it would most likely be somebody she knew, not her family. So I've not really engaged into Annie and Tommaso, short of something else coming to fruition to point the finger at them. But the way it sits right now, me personally, in my review of the case, I do not believe that they are responsible at all for the disappearance or death or homicide of Miss Nancy Guthrie. I believe this is something else. What is it? I don't know. But I think the key, in all fairness, I think the key is January 11th. January 11th was the first time the assailant came onto the property. We saw a photo or video of him on the property. And that video showed this man standing. We didn't see, or just, it wasn't a video, it was a still image. Showed this man. He was wearing the jacket that he appeared to be wearing the night he abducted Miss Nancy Guthrie, but he appeared to have a tool pouch or tool bag. Thank you so much, Lori. We appreciate you. A tool pouch or tool bag that he came there with, what I would refer to as a burglary kit, right? That's the tools of a burglar. Yet it appears that nothing happened that night. That's a little odd. And I don't think nothing happened. I think the burglar went inside the home. I think the burglar stood over Miss Nancy Guthrie and realized, oh crap, somebody lives here. Somebody's in their bed. I better get out of here, right? And at that night, I don't think they took anything. I think they got into the house and left the house. But something happened within that 20 days where they decided, let's go back. But this time, the assailant came back prepared. He came back with a bite light. We didn't see the bite light in the photo where he had the tool pouch or tool bag. He didn't have a backpack on, and he did not have a gun. Remember, when he came back with a firearm and a holster. A firearm and a holster. He was prepared to encounter an individual inside that home when he came back the second time. So what does this mean? Whenever I try to put these chunks of information together in my brain tells me that the burglary happened on the 11th, not on the 1st. the burglary was disrupted for whatever reason. I believe it was disrupted because, again, burglars that are going into houses typically don't want people in the house. They want to be able to burglarize it without anybody being there. So it appeared that he was going in there to burglarize the house. He had a toolbox with him. Okay, that tells me he most likely had all the tools he needed to gyrate a window, a door, a lock, or whatever he needed to get into a house. That was on the 11th. He was not there with a gun. He was not there with a backpack full of something. He was there with just his mask on, his gloves on, and a toolbox or bag. Okay, well, that seems like a normal burglary. That seems like a normal burglar. It seems like what we would think a burglar would do and look like. So why didn't anything happen on the 11th? We have to ask ourselves, why did nothing happen on the 11th? Well, it's because I believe he realized the place was occupied. So what would make him come back 20 days later with a backpack full of something? He had a firearm, and he was ready to get into the house. He was moving about in front of that front door, very cavalier, nonchalant. Wasn't concerned whether somebody was being notified. He knew somebody wasn't being notified because he had already been there at night at that very spot. And no law enforcement came. Nobody came out of the house. As a matter of fact, when he went inside the house on the 11th, the person was sound asleep, never even knew he was there. That's pretty scary. She's living her life. She just had somebody at her house with a mask and a toolbox. And she was none the wiser. She had no idea the danger she was truly in her own home. Is there proof? The proof is law enforcement has stated. When law enforcement has confirmed it's a January 11th photo, I have to take it. That's law enforcement. They're the lead. But yes, law enforcement is the one that said that it was from January 11th, 2026. 20 days before she ultimately was removed from the home. That was their statement. That's how we know of that date. And then we have something to corroborate that date as well. We have the neighbor that spoke to Brian Enton about seeing the assailant earlier that day, scoping out the neighborhood. So they were casing the joint on the 11th. And that tells me that that this person was going to burglarize this home. And I don't think that when he targeted this home, I really don't believe he thought anybody lived there, because since Miss Nancy Guthrie, since her dog died several years ago, she doesn't go outside of her home. When she's home, she's home. She's inside. So nobody's going to ever see her really moving around outside of the home because of her mobility issues. So anybody that's watching her home is only seeing people come and maintain the home. They're not seeing anybody walking in or walking out. They're not seeing the garage door going up or down. They're not seeing a car leaving or going or anything, because when she's inside that home, she stays inside that home until she takes an Uber to go to one of her events, whether it's a mahjong event, whether it's a church event or something like that. And then it's an Uber. Her garage never goes up. There's really no movement at her home. And maybe that's why they targeted this home originally, because originally everybody was believing that this was a burglary gone wrong. And I'm like, a burglary gone wrong? Who comes to the job with a full backpack? What do you mean a burglary gone wrong, right? And then it started coming back and making sense to me with the 11th being the burglary gone wrong. Because in all fairness, the 11th is when this person tried to really get into her house the first time. How do we know? Because he had a tool. If he was there just to scope out the outside of the home, he would not have had anything inside his hands or in his hands. He would not have been carrying anything. And we can clearly see him carrying something. So the critical finger of Cash Patel remains pointed at Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos. The FBI was not invited into the investigation of Nancy until day 4, and Director Patel says vital digital evidence from Nancy's Nest camera could have been lost leading up to the discovery of the porch guy images on that day, which was day 10. Those days and hours were critical. We will likely never know what other images were erased prior to Google being contacted by the FBI. The Pima County Sheriff's Office should have contacted Google day 1 to have the search warrant and subpoena authority. They just lacked the experience to know the images could still be recovered. It's been almost 6 months and still no Nancy Guthrie. And that is very, very upsetting when it comes to Nancy Guthrie. And of course, we've got the images, of the assailant that are super important for people to see because this guy was moving. But this right here, this is the image that law enforcement says came from January 11th, okay? I can't tell whether he's got, the same pants on that he had when he abducted Nancy, but one thing that's very noticeable is there's no gun and there's no backpack. But if you see right here, there's this toolbox he has in his hand, or tool bag he has in his hand. This person here appears to be ready to break into somebody's home. So why wasn't anything taken on January 11th, and why did he leave Miss Nancy Guthrie behind? And it's because he wasn't expecting to encounter her. I truly believe that's the case. And she never even knew she was even being encountered. She never knew she was even being encountered, y'all. What does all of this mean? Well, from everything that I've been looking at and studying, we've learned that a lot of balls were dropped at the very beginning of this case. From the lackadaisy investigation, the forensic investigation, which was piss poor. We all know that. I'm not going to sit here and bite my tongue or hold my mouth because it might hurt somebody's feelings. We do back the blue here on this channel, but one thing you will find out about me is I hate corruption. And more importantly than government corruption, I hate police or law enforcement corruption, because law enforcement has powers to ruin people's lives. Literally ruin people's lives. You can arrest somebody, and somebody that does not have money would be forced to eat a charge because they don't have money to defend it. They can ruin people's lives. I have no tolerance for bad cops. You will find that out about me. I love good cops. I have good cops that are friends. I have good cops that are FBI agents that are friends here. And I live in Florida. I've got friends, and I'm a major part of my politics. I know people from the FBI. I know retired CIA agents. I know a litany of just sheriffs and police department. I have a police officer that lives right across the street from me, a city police officer, and his wife's a dispatcher for another city police department. So I've got a lot of people that I know in law enforcement. I highly respect law enforcement. But I also know that a bad cop puts those good cops, puts my friends in danger. That I do know. I know when we have a corrupted officer, they put my friends in danger. I have no tolerance for that at all. So when I see piss poor work, I'm going to call it out. And I'm not going to be fearful that I might hurt somebody's feelings. You know why? Because I'm not trying to hurt your feelings. But the truth sometimes hurts. What I'd like to see happen from this exposure is not to club Pima County Sheriff's Department or the forensic unit into the ground. It's for them to take note. It's for them to take an honest look at their conduct and their procedures. It's so that they can learn. It's hard to make the same mistake over again if it is so if it's exposed well enough that it's an embarrassment, right? So if you have an embarrassing moment, that embarrassing moment stays with you for a lifetime. It does. So what I try to do is I try to make sure that we have something that's going to stay with them for a lifetime. And if that means hurting their feelings now, so, you know, in another year or two, we don't have these type of mistakes again, well, then I'm hurting somebody's feelings. Because I want it to be so miserable, and I want them to remember it each and every time that they go out to somebody's house, that they make sure that they don't do these make these terrible decisions again. I want that to be top of mind. I want them to remember how embarrassing it was having people calling them out and saying that they did terrible jobs so publicly and in the public light. And it was embarrassing for the team or the crew. I want that for them. Because you know what? There's nothing to correct behavior than embarrassment. Right? There's nothing. Think about it. If somebody embarrassed you, I bet you never did that again. Right? When you did something stupid and people turned around and laughed at you or made fun of you, I bet you it stuck with you for a really long time. That's what I'd like to do on here. I'm very impactful. And I do a lot of psychological stuff on my channel because it you know, some, like, even when I'm out there in the real world with politics and I'm at meetings and stuff, I do certain things at my table to rile the challengers, okay? To let them know that I don't like them without being rude, okay? I can do that. How do you do that? I'll put, like, I have the whole thing being recorded on one phone, but I'll be screwing with their head the whole time sitting there. Right? I'm not going to tell you my tricks and techniques because then it'll blow my tricks and techniques. But I'll be sitting there and I'll be doing things at my table while I'm listening to the panel of debaters. And I'll be doing stuff at my table very nonchalantly that I know that they're looking at. And I'll be ruffling their feathers. And especially the people that, like, even when they come up to my table to hand me a card, if it's somebody I don't like, I make it a big deal. Oh, no. Do you keep that card? I'm sure somebody else will like it. No, I don't want that card. Who? No, you keep that card. I don't need it. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. But you make sure you're loud. You know, I'm deaf, so I'm naturally loud, and I even get louder. So it works for me. But I do that. I do that to ruffle feathers of the politicians. You know, to knock them off their game. I'm very. I do what I do, okay? I'm sorry, I do what I do. Oh, there's Pebbles. Good morning, Pebbles. It's nice to see you, love bug. I hope you're doing well this beautiful Monday. So the reason why I'm saying this is because I want the investigators to remember this. I want this to be a case that they never replicate again, right? I want them, when the next time that they go to a crime scene, I want them to pick up the front doormat, okay? If there's blood there and they know that the subject and the victim stepped on a thing, it's not for them to decide whether that's evidence or not. They send it to the lab to find out if there's any trace on there, okay? That's what their job is. Their job's not to decide, oh, should we take this, should we not take it? Take everything. If it doesn't belong or something is there that the assailant, of all things, if you think that the assailant touched anything, you take that, bag it, tag it, and send it to the lab. Why? Because you're trying to find DNA. You're trying to find something to identify this person. This man right here sat on that mat with his shoes. God knows what kind of trace evidence could have been on that rug, but they didn't care. That's piss poor. I want to make sure that is exposed here on the Bullhorn Betty channel, and I pray to God that the investigators that did the forensics see this and understand exactly why we're pissed off. Next time, take the rug, take the mat. If you know the assailant touched anything, take it. It's not freaking rocket science. And I shouldn't have to tell CSI techs how to do their blessed job. But this right here, this is the key. I truly believe, folks, that this is the key. The key is the 11th. The key is the 11th. The 11th is the robbery, burglary. The 11th is, not the first. The first is they made their decision for something else. This was the burglary. I almost guarantee it. Now, this is just an opinion, guys. There's no facts. The fact is that this is from January 11th. Okay, that's the only fact we have. This is what we have. This is all we have from January 11th that is public. But we know that this guy was at the house on January 11th. And we clearly see him holding a toolbox or tool bag in his hands. We can clearly see it. Once you see it, it's hard to unsee it. This is the bag, the tool bag right here. You can see the shadow on his pant leg right here. There's the box right there. Or the bag. There it is, right there. And it goes back like this. And then you can see his hand right here clamping down on the handle, whatever handle that is. So you can clearly see there is a bag. Why? If he was just here to scope out the area for this abduction on the 1st, he would never have that bag in his hand. That is my opinion, but I guarantee I'm right about this. Because if you're going there just to scope out the area, you don't need to have, if anything, you're going to have pepper spray or a screwdriver or a hammer in case you come into contact with anybody, but you're not going to have a toolbox to beat somebody away with. You're going to have one single weapon. That's not a weapon. That's a tool. Okay? He's got a bag in his hand. So this is key. It's this right here. This is the key to the whole entire crux of this investigation. This right here. Why was he there on the 11th? And I don't believe he was there to scope out the home. I believe he was there to rob it. I believe he was there to rob it, and I'm not changing my stance on that until I'm proved otherwise. So if you guys know anything about the Nancy Guthrie case, let me just kind of break this down to you. This case has been littered and plagued with a whole bunch of problems, from the media circus to Chris Nano's decision-making, which was piss poor, to the clear defects of the forensic investigation, releasing the house after 20 hours, entertaining these bunk and bogus ransom notes for 6 months, failing to provide us a detailed escape route, failing to provide us a detail of the vehicle used. These are all things that should be common knowledge to law enforcement at this juncture in the investigation, and we are nowhere closer. They're still playing patty cake with bunk frickin' ransom notes than they are trying to find where Nancy is. They have not searched for Nancy. But again, they've spent 6 months, wasted 6 months on bogus ransom notes, but not searching for her, not trying to physically find her body or her person. They've done squat on that front. Squat. And it's sad, because this lady deserved better from this country. Her son served honorably our military. Her youngest daughter is a famous award-winning journalist. They've got resources and money, but one thing that they could not do is have a decent sheriff investigating this case. They couldn't do that because their sheriff in Pima County is a criminal that installs friends in positions that they're not equipped to have. It's cronyism at its best. This is a corrupted community, okay? This is corrupted. When I mean corrupted, that means there's backroom deals. That means there's people that have their hand on elections. We've got Chris Nanos under investigation for what he did to his the person that was competing against him, violating her civil and constitutional rights. The supervisors are more concerned about their political well-being than they are about the citizens they serve. I think they're pieces of shit. I just want to be on the record saying that I think the board of supervisors out there, all of them are pieces of shit. So when I come into town, I want to make sure that everybody's good and pissed off with Bullhorn Betty before we get there. Okay? Because when I come in there, I'm coming in there to tell you all about yourselves. All about yourselves. When will that happen? Will it happen next week, next month? We don't know. I'll get there when I get there. I'll get there when I get there. But I definitely believe that we will be going out there now that some of this stuff is settled and they understand they can't do some of the stuff, then half my job is already taken care of for me. So we need to get in here and find out why we have no movement and why law enforcement is wasting their time on ransom notes that they should have known through their experience were bogus and bullshit. You know how I know that they should have known better? Because we know better. And if we know better, then they should have known better. All we wanted to know was what the details of those ransom notes were. And as soon as we knew what the details of those ransom notes were, in our brain, we could have figured it out ourselves, which we did. And I'm more convinced today than I am yesterday. And then, of course, with the conversation I had yesterday afternoon, which was a very, very good conversation, but it was very eye-opening. And at the end of the day, law enforcement isn't stupid. They knew these ransom notes were bogus. They knew it. And instead of coming out and admitting that they were bogus, which happened with Reuters, they decided to backtrack it for whatever pressure they were under, which again, I think you changing your methods because of pressure is corrupted. It's corruption. And so they came back and said, oh no, we still believe some of them are. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. You lied. The FBI Phoenix office lied to the public. They lied to the public point blank. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Could they prove where they can? They're going to be able to backdoor this. They're going to be able to say, well, we didn't know who had wrote them because we couldn't trace the IP address. They could have been. No. They don't get to have that backdoor. Because at the end of the day, they all knew. They all knew. That's exactly why, even that whole news cycle about the $152 tickle the wire and do they regret their decision and all, that was all bogus too. That was all bogus too. They only put $150-something on because none of them believed it. They didn't even believe it way back when. I just want to put this in perspective why I'm so upset and why I ran that story last night, because I found out that they knew these were bogus all the way back then. That what they were telling us about the 152 tickle the wire was bullshit. The reason why they only gave 100, because they never believed the ransom notes. That's the reality. That's the truth. That's the truth. Did you see TIR asking everyone to email the AG to indict perjury on nanos? We do need to do something on that, and I'm glad that we have the support of somebody like Chris McDonough. But Chris McDonough, being an officer, understands. I know for a fact he understands what I'm talking about on my show when I say that there is not an officer in this world that wants to work under a criminal. The morale in that department has to be shit. Because I can tell you, just if I went into that county and Chris Nano's talking to me, I would not listen to him, because as far as I'm concerned, he's an illegitimate sheriff. You don't sit there and talk to me. You're a fucking criminal. You're a criminal. I'm not taking orders from any criminal with a cop and with a badge and a gun. You're not my sheriff. I don't listen to you and I don't take orders from you. He's a bad cop. He's a bad cop. And somebody like Chris McDonough, he's a good cop. Okay? There's no way in God's half acre you're going to have a good cop backing a bad cop. So we're very thankful for the power that Chris McDonough has on these platforms and the respect he has, because, we're so abused by media and the government. Social media is, they know that they need us, but they love to club us over the head and say, oh, they don't know how to do this and oh, they don't know how to do that. But every time we turn around, we're dancing circles around these people, but they're wanting to club us over the head, acting like we don't know what we're doing. And that's okay, whatever the case may be. But at the end of the day, when we try to sit there and speak, I mean, I will have my voice heard because I do know a lot of people in this country, and I do have people higher up the food chain, maybe not the highest of the high, but we got some pretty high people in the food chain that is accessible, right? There are some people that are inaccessible that we have the high respect of, but the people, I do have the ability to get some resources myself, because of my, and not only that, but most of the people that we used to run and campaign around that used to be like us are now in positions of power. So, we've got name recognition, we got face recognition, we got a lot of stuff. We can get some things done, but at the end of the day, when you have a whole entire community that doesn't understand how the corruption is affecting them, or they're being manipulated to think that this is trying to overthrow their government, their local government, by, they manipulate these people so much they don't realize, and they'll never believe that this sheriff is a freaking criminal. And that's the problem. And when you have to force feed it and they stop and listen, then you'll find out that they don't like it. But most of these people, they're working. They're on the go. Why are they working all the time? Because they can't afford life. Because of all these politicians and good old boys club driving our costs through the roof, making us pay ungodly amounts of money so they can live great lives while we're all suffering. That's our government. That's the government. That's the top-down approach we've got in our society right now. It really is. But I hope people in Pima County start doing a lot better than they have been doing. And then, of course, we're going to round out, actually, we got a few more cases here. 4 days for the FBI to get involved and assist. Annie and Tommaso vehicle, which was blue, was taken by Pima County as they tried to find some evidence that might help locate Nancy. The car had been returned to the duo since, but they're implying that this car was shortly put on, sold. But as you guys see, this is from January 14th, 2025. Okay. So yeah, they're selling a car, but the car that they're selling was from over a year, almost, 6 months before Miss Guthrie disappeared. So why is this a freaking news article? I have no earthly idea. I really, truly just don't know why they have that. And of course, look at this. Look at this. Things that we've been talking about since the beginning. Nancy Guthrie abductor may have returned to the crime scene and left critical clues to tribute. I believe this. I believe that this guy came back to the crime scene, and we've talked about that several times prior to. Why did some suspect, Nancy Guthrie, was kidnapped by daughter? And I'm going to read this article. I didn't read the last article, but I am going to read this article for you, and then we're going to jump into Lynette Hooker's case and kind of close out the show. Former FBI agent Jennifer Coffin-Daffer pushbacks against viral online video linking Annie Guthrie and her husband Tommaso Cioni to 84-year-old Savannah Guthrie, Nancy Guthrie's disappearance. Former FBI agent Jennifer Coffin-Daffer addresses claims made by AI voiced YouTube video listing reasons people suspect Annie and Tommaso kidnapping their mother. She broke down and debunked each reason. One claim they were in debt, including gambling debt, that pushed Annie and her husband to act. However, there's no confirmed reports or receipts showing that, and this is exactly what we've said from day one. Everybody brought this up from day one, that they were in debt, that they were in this gambling debt. And I said, they just purchased a house a year ago. Now, I understand that there may be several people in my chat that has never purchased a house before in their life, and you don't understand what the process that goes into that, but you cannot have bad credit and purchase a home, okay? And you cannot purchase a home in conventional credit or anything like that. You might be able to get like an FHA type of loan that is secured, where you have to pay an extra $200 a month to secure insurance in case you default on the loan. But those types of cases, you might be able to get into a home with bad credit, but you're not getting into a $600,000 home with bad credit, okay? So I just want to make sure you understand this, that if you have, and again, when somebody owes debts and somebody can't afford to make payments, you're not buying new cars, you're not buying new homes, you're not doing these things because you don't have the money to do it. And to purchase a home, you've got to have stellar credit. You've got to show that you have money and not just enough money for the down payment. You got to prove that that down payment is not going to break your bank. That means you got to have more in your account than just the down payment. So I don't think people are playing the tape through with the whole gambling debt aspect of this, because if there was any debt of these people, they would not have been able to purchase that home. They would never have been able to get a mortgage for that home. It would be next to impossible, because they would owe all of this money. It would show that they owe all of this money, and they would have piss poor credit rating, right? Some claim that Annie and her husband asked Nancy for a loan and she refused. This claim has been spread by AI channels and is being watched by thousands of people, but there is no proof of that. We have no proof of that. That is somebody saying, oh, they must have, and then getting legs and arms and walking and talking all by itself. Where's the proof that they asked Nancy for a loan? And would they ask their mother for a loan versus their rich sister? It doesn't make sense. Okay, so let's go over to point 3. Some point to the power of attorney claiming involving Tommaso Cioni. However, this is no proof of any abduction of her mother. There were unverified claims in the past that Tommaso Cioni signed a special durable power of attorney document. However, there is no link between his document and the Nancy Guthrie disappearance. Guys, I dealt with wills, trusts, estates, bankruptcies, guardianships, all of this stuff with one of the very first jobs I got out of paralegal school. And I can promise you that this is normal and customary in any planning. And while we in the lower aspect, middle class don't do this, but when you're in the higher tier class and you have more money than, say, the rest of us, you're not wanting to pay Uncle Sam 50% of that. You're not wanting your heirs to have to be taxed 50% of that. So if you have money, especially if you have money, you're setting up all of this retirement stuff to move your accounts so it doesn't get taxed. There's nothing abnormal about that, because yes, the family that's closest to them would be most likely be the ones that would be responsible for that. So Annie and Tommaso being on those documents would be completely, utterly normal. I'm just saying. And it's coming from somebody that did that. This was my job. I did wills, trusts, bankruptcies, estates, guardianships, probates, everything. It was the most boring job I ever had in my life, but it was the first job I had just out of paralegal school. I took it. Some claim Annie was jealous of her sister Savannah. Coffin Daffer said this makes no sense when looking at the relationship with the sisters. If that was the case, then she would have offed her mom years ago. Some point to the investigation around them as suspicious. However, the FBI routinely checks inner circles. It would be malpractice if they didn't check the inner circle. And they cleared them. And somebody's like, well, did they clear them or did Pima County clear them? Well, just like with the ransom notes, it didn't seem like the FBI had any problem sending out a news release for inaccurate information. So if those people were not cleared by the FBI and Chris Nanos, the FBI would have sent out a press release saying, well, Chris Nanos may have jumped because they don't have any problem throwing Chris Nanos under the bus, do they? No, they don't. They're doing it publicly every day now. So if they didn't believe, if the FBI was not also on board with the family, the immediate family, the siblings and their spouses being cleared, I guarantee the FBI, Phoenix, or Kash Patel would have sat on his pedestal calling Chris Nanos irresponsible. And we never heard that. We never saw that. So that tells me that they agree, because when they don't agree, like with the Reuters report, they have no problem correcting the record. They didn't do that when the family was cleared. So I just want to point that out. So yes, the FBI was on board with the family being cleared. And here, this might be something on a more positive note, but more than 5 months have passed since Nancy Guthrie, the mother of NBC Today show host Savannah Guthrie, was abducted from her home in the Catalina foothills of Tucson, Arizona, and officials have yet to name a suspect or suspects in the case. While Chris Nanos with Pima County Sheriff and officials are saying they're still focused on the case, they also have other matters around Pima County that require their attention. So that's basically them closing the case. Now the case goes into a holding pattern. This is not good, but even though this is like, oh, well, this is positive for the case. No, it's not. Nancy Guthrie has been missing since February 1st, so August 1st marks 6-month milestone of her disappearance as officials continue to search for her. They haven't been searching for her. I'm so sick of them saying as officials continue to search for her. They're not searching for her. There hasn't been one blessed search for her. Canvassing a community, looking into the case is not searching for her. Searching for her means they're actively looking to find her. They're never going to find her sitting in their office, just like they're never going to find Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers sitting in their office. It just unnerves me to hear that. As officials continue to search for her, they've never searched for her. The Sheriff's Department shared news of another missing person in the area, but that person was quickly found, leading to public to ask questions about Guthrie. On Friday, the Sheriff's Department took to X to share that there was another missing person, and that person was Denise K. Rose. Please call 911 if you see or hear anything, Miss Rose, they stated. But just an hour later, they shared the good news and released a news statement that she has already been located. Very strange that people in your county keep coming up missing. You can't even talk about Nancy Guthrie. Let's see how far you get with this one, one person wrote on X. In general, whenever the Sheriff's Department has shared news of another missing person in the area, the public floods the feeds wanting answers related to the Guthrie case. They question why the department is able to find other missing people right away, but not Nancy Guthrie. It's a good question. However, the Guthrie case is simply different. An elderly person wandering around at night due to memory problems, which is sometimes the case with missing person reports, is different from a pure abduction and ransom case. It's not a ransom case, you dumbass. Also, it's worth noting that seeing any missing person found is good news. It also shows that there is still hope Nancy Guthrie's mystery will be solved. In other news directly regarding Nancy Guthrie's case, investigative journalist Brianna Whitney spoke with Crime Junkie's Ashley Flowers on Wednesday to talk about her personal findings. She revealed that the first ransom note demanded as much as $6 million in Bitcoin and said not to get authorities involved with the case. Well, if they weren't to get authorities involved with the case, then why in the world are they sending the first ransom note after the first press conference with authorities already involved in the case? That would be a great question. So that's kind of our roundabout with the Guthrie case. Is this case going to be solved? We're seeing other cases. Is there a serial killer? Is there another serial rapist out there in this community? This will be probably 3, 4, or 5 different serial rapists that has plagued the Tucson, Arizona area over the last 40 years. It seems like it's a target of some sort. It's a calling card for all these horrible type of people to come to their community, and it makes you wonder why. Why is this community attracting the underbelly of society instead of the good-hearted Americans around this country? We should be asking those questions. We don't have those problems here in Manatee County. We have some of the problems, but not like this. Not like this. So I'm just telling the people of Arizona, you do not have to live like this. You're choosing to live like this. You're choosing to live like this because you refuse to take suggestions. But I will tell you, if your community is plagued with crime, it doesn't need to be. Your government is choosing to have you live in crime. You know how I know? Because I don't live in crime. You know why? Because my politicians and my law enforcement don't want me living in crime, so they make sure that I have a safe place to live. So if you do not have a safe place to live, guess what? That was a decision your government chose to make for you. It's just like that. So if you want safer places to live, force your government to provide those safer places to live. Just saying. AJ was searching in the desert every day for months. He deserves a lot of props. He does. It's still not law enforcement, though. Law enforcement needs to be out there looking for her. They're not the ones that are doing right by her. Guys, we learned we're going on to our last case of the show, and it is Lynette Hooker, the 55-year-old Michigan mom, sold everything, bucket list item, to travel the world abroad on her yacht. So she sold everything in 2023 with her husband of 25 years, and they set sail. And shortly after they set sail, it was too close for them. They had too much closeness, and they were fighting unnecessarily, and they were really getting violent with one another. She was very concerned for her safety. A few times she came home. One time he snapped her neck where it popped, and she was really stiff for a really long time. And after staying at her mom's for a couple months, she ended up going back to him. Sounds like she had a one-way flight ticket right before she was murdered. I'm going to call her murdered. She's murdered by her husband. I don't care if we don't have anybody confirming those facts. We all know she was murdered by her husband. So I'm going to go ahead and say it. If you'd like to sue me, I live in Florida. You can come down here in Manatee County and sue me if you so choose. If you feel like that I'm being defaming. Okay. All right there, Brian Hooker. I think you got enough legal problems, but I'm going to speak the way I'm going to speak. If you want to sue me for it, by God, here, come on down to Florida. I'll see you soon. I'd actually like to see you here in Florida. Make my day. It surely would. So we're going to say she was murdered at the hands of her husband. This is the court of public opinion, not the court of law. So in the court of public opinion, he is a murderer. The story he came up with for his wife was that they were heading back from a day of drinking, and the conditions started to change out on the water, and a wave came up and knocked her off the boat. That was one variation. Another variation we have on the record, somebody recorded him saying this, is where he also fell off the dinghy and he had to climb back in the boat. Somehow didn't help his wife back into the boat. Kind of strange. Kind of strange. But according to him, a wave came up, knocked her off the dinghy. She had the keys. He couldn't crank the dinghy up anymore. She was swept out to sea. He was left in the middle of this Abaco Sea where he could have walked across the channel. He could have just got out of the boat and walked. But he chose to allegedly drift for 9 hours until he got to Marsh Harbor where he could get help at 4 o'clock in the morning. Mind you, she went overboard around 7:30 at night. Seems awfully funny, doesn't it? Seems like you would have went back to the bar where you guys just left from and asked for some help, to call some help, because your wife just went overboard instead of staying in a freaking dinghy all the way for 9 hours crossing the Sea of Abaco. There is no respectable military person that would have done that, period. We all know it was horse shit. So we believe he murdered her. We've just recently found out, after my assessment, that they would have had to make it back to the soulmate, that she was most likely murdered on the soulmate, and that he most likely moved her body from the soulmate and put her and concealed the crime. That a theory that we said way back when we were analyzing this case sounds like it's going to be the winner chicken dinner in this case. So we were accurate in our assessment of that case as well. And right now we're just waiting for some testing to come back. We found out that they did make it back to the soulmate, and we also found out that she lost her life before 8 p.m. that night. So in order for them to put a date, a time on her a time of death, it tells me that they have some really good evidence against Brian. That evidence would have to be, in my opinion, video or audio evidence. Video or audio evidence. So I'm interested in learning more about that when it comes to this case. But check this out. You know, we heard from Lynette's mom and her father, and of course her stepfather and her stepmother, right? So she sounds like she had a mom and a dad that got divorced, that got remarried, and it sounded like she had a good blended family. It seemed like the husband and wife on this side and the husband and wife on this side, for the most part, you know, had a good environment for their daughter, to raise their daughter and stuff like that. It just, that's the way it sounded. It sounded to me that they work together. What is it called? The parenting, the co-parenting. It sounded like they had a great co-parenting design for their family. She loved both her mom and her dad and her step parents. But we also forget that Brian Hooker also has the same type of dynamic. He has got a mom and a dad, and his dad was married to another woman for 40 years. And we learned a few things. One, Brian lied about his mother being on her deathbed. She's always had the kidney or liver issue. As she's been dealing, I think it's a kidney issue, and she's been dealing with it with medication and other things and other treatments. So she's been like this for years. It wasn't something that just came up. It wasn't something that metastasized. It wasn't something that just erupted into worse, into a worse condition than it was previously. It's at the same condition as it was before he left the Bahamas. This has been the same condition she has been for years. And it's important because his stepmom finally clarified that and told us that it was just an excuse for him to get out of the Bahamas, which is what we believed was the case. She also filled us in on a lot of his problems. Drugs, a possible homicide, another homicide in Hawaii back in 1985 into 1986, which I thought was very interesting. So he's been a rotten egg and a rotten apple in his family for quite some time, him and him alone. And it sounds like he has a special relationship with his sister, where his sister, which is an RN, she's supposed to be there to save life, but she will definitely allow her brother to murder her sister-in-law and keep her mouth shut. Did he confide in his sister that he murdered his wife? Well, we did learn if he did, she would take it to the grave. So I have no respect for his RN sister. As a matter of fact, I want to look where she works. I want to try to get her fired. And people are like, Betty, that's so mean. I don't like people that conceal murders and protect murderers. And if I do find out, you bet your ass I'm going to be working on getting her fired from her job. And people can come after me and say I'm a horrible content creator. I don't care. I'm very controversial and I'm an activist. Okay? I'm an activist. What the hell do you expect me to do when I find out somebody's withholding critical information in a homicide? Do you think that they should go without consequences? I don't know if you know anything about Bullhorn Betty or our show, but one thing we like is transparency and accountability. And if I can only give you accountability by making you go hunt for a new job, by God, that's what I'm going to do. I did it to the, what is his name? Don Wells. Just kicked off one of his jobs. Went out there and protested right there in the middle of the street. Got him kicked off of his job. I have no problem protesting. I have no problem pushing the envelope. I have no problem doing what is needed. Again, I'm not just a content creator. I'm not just an independent journalist. I am an activist. Okay? In every sense of activist. Do I like going out and having to scream in the middle of the road and have signs that says lock them up? Do you think I enjoy doing that? It's not an enjoyable job for me. But it's something I feel necessary and I feel is effective. I feel it's effective. Brian Hooker's stepmom wants to help investigators as she suspects he lied about everything. We heard her reports. We heard what she said. Let's see what we got here. Let's put this up. This looks pretty interesting. Let's see the commentary under this. Brian Hooker call with friends. Let's listen to this. Remind us about what happened.
Sorry.
How many people do you got out there, and do you need more?
What's that? Tomorrow's the last good day, I think. I don't think they'll launch anything on Wednesday. There's a blow coming through, so I get what you're saying, but my sister's flying in tomorrow. I'm going to rent a boat. I had to, so the dinghy, I landed in.
He never rented the boat. His sister's flying in. We've got to rent a boat. Remember, his sister flew in, but they never left the conch in. They stayed there drinking at the bar while everybody was looking for his wife. And this is an RN. So I already don't like the woman. I think she's already a piece of garbage. So, it's only going to be a matter of time before I act on it, before I get so frustrated with his sister that I start acting on it. You guys will never know. She'll just go away, and you guys probably won't even know she loses her job. But I am definitely going to be working on trying to get this lady fired. And if that's something you can't support, then don't support the channel.
It was a little tiny 50-yard wide lagoon full of rocks and I beached it, and the cops, of course, they're thoroughly investigating me right now. So they came and tied the dinghy up. I just got the dinghy back today, and got the boat back to the harbor from where the anchorage was. So I have to rig some switches so I can single-hand it back there and conduct my own searches, but I can't tomorrow's.
Never searched.
Yeah, it's a story. But we have the Coast Guard.
Never searched.
Hopetown Search and Rescue, the Bahamian Defense Force were out today.
All of that,
and yesterday. Searched. So tomorrow the same thing again. I just don't know. I don't know what. It has to be tomorrow, I guess. I think they'll probably call it when the weather comes in. But I'm going out. They asked me today, the cops called me up and asked me how long I would be in the Bahamas. I'll get my wife back. And so that's my goal. I canceled everything we were going back home for, and I'm going to renew my visa and stay here.
Oh, he's going to renew his visa and stay there. The very next day from this, he was heading back. Well, his sister came in, and then after that, he was heading back.
So I'll keep you posted on that. But, I mean, by day, I was keeping a very stiff upper lip because she is strong. She's a regular swimmer, not like a athlete or anything, but she's determined. And she was the flare pistol I had slid down one of the sponsons down towards the stern. And the dinghy, I took so many waves over the dinghy, I bailed about 5 or 6 times. I had to bail out the cockpit, but the inside also got wet. And so, man, the dinghy key was not attached to me, so when we were around trying to get back in the boat.
When we were screwing around trying to get back in the boat, he's saying when we're screwing around trying to get back in the boat, that he's telling him that he went over too, and so did she, and they were trying to get back in the boat. She was being swept. So he's got several different stories swirled around into one. And this is the only time he talked about him going overboard, by the way. After this, it was never brought up again.
The sun was falling when it kind of dropped off. It was a magnet key, for the electric motor.
So you guys were swimming? Yeah, because you guys have the torpedo.
No. Yeah, we have a torpedo. Well, we have equivalent. We have a 3-horse electric. It's a different model, but
okay.
And it was a cascade of failures, and it's something I'm never going to forgive myself for. And then, so this happened like Saturday night, during all day at the place called Tahiti Beach, and they're going to have a beach bar that pulls up on a barge. And, we hit the next stop, and we stayed too long, we left too dark, all kinds of no life jackets. I had the 2 that you stuff, under the seats that nobody ever wears for, Coast Guard purposes. But we used to wear these life jackets. We had these other ones all.
Shoot. Hold on. Sorry, I hit the wrong one. Sorry. Didn't mean to do that, and I probably screwed up the. Let's hit back here.
We stayed too long, we left too dark, all kinds of no life jackets. I had the 2 that you stuff, under the seats that nobody ever wears
I do
for
too,
Coast Guard purposes. But we used to wear these life jackets we had these other ones all the time. I can't explain what happened to us, I threw the dinghy out last, or the anchor out last instead of first. Because the dinghy was all tangled up in the bottom. It was underneath another cushion.
We're hearing that there is a anchor and weight belts missing from the boats, and his air tank was missing air, and they had just filled him up and had not gone anywhere scuba diving in those days leading up. So there is some evidence, and I told you guys when we saw Carly on the boat, and I said, oh my gosh, you've got a bag, a duffel bag with the ropes being ruffled through it, and then next to that on the other side of, like, there's this there's like this seating, but between the seating is the cubby to go down below. And so on one side of this on the seating is this duffel bag with all these ropes pulled out of it, and on the other side is all these weights, and it's like rope weights. I wonder what happened here. Like, it was just that malarkey is an understatement, Tulips. That's an understatement, absolutely.
And I was just trying to get to her, and I was going to row. But it is ridiculous to think you can row a dinghy, especially a fiberglass dinghy, against the wind in 2 foot to 3 foot swells.
Oh, you guys don't have the Wally boat anymore?
And it says you don't have the Wally boat anymore, so we didn't hear the answer to that. So there you guys have it. And then you guys have surveillance moments before ice shooting. No, that's not what I wanted to read. New evidence and missing person account. I don't want to read that. I just wanted this right here. Let me see. Is this where... Okay, I think this is the other.
Long hair and a bandana around his head and a trench coat. And he's like combat boots on and everything. He looked terrible. Bruce wasn't with him, so I'm sure Bruce went back to where he lived. And Brian said that they kind of got in trouble. They got involved in a bad crowd of guys, because when you're living on the beach, I've heard that that can happen because there are gangs that come and they bother people, and sometimes they rob people. So Brian said that he was talking to his dad about being there in Hawaii, and then this is something I haven't told. I only told you, Joel, and that when he was talking to his father, he said they had some real problems. These people kept bothering him, and he was with some other people plus his brother, and then he said he had to have someone killed.
So that was the 1985, 1986 potential homicide on the Big Island out there in Hawaii. I don't know, JH, you might want to clip this and send it to your government out there, because it sounds like there's a possibility of somebody losing their life back in 85 and 86 as a direct result of Brian Hooker. It doesn't sound like he's the one that killed the person. It sounds like he had somebody kill him, that he either paid somebody or set something up for somebody to be harmed out back there in 1985 and 1986. So, this is very, very significant and very, very serious when it comes to this case, because now we're looking at Brian as not only a person that had motive, means, and opportunity to murder his wife. It sounds like he wasn't opposed to homicide all the way back, decades ago. Decades and decades ago. So this is the stepmom. This is Donna Hooker. She's the one that told us about, we got a whole bunch of information. I have the whole breakdown of the family. I know exactly who's who. Let me just go over some of this stuff with you. So Brian has he's got two other siblings. So this is Donna Hooker. This is his father's second wife. His first wife was Brian's mom. Wife 1, her name is Debbie Hooker. Wife 2 is Beth Hooker. So Debbie Hooker is wife 1, Beth Hooker is wife 2, and Lynette Hooker is wife 3. So Brian has had 3 wives. He has a total of 3 children that I can understand. Jessica Hooker is Debbie Hooker's only daughter with Brian Hooker. And Jessica Hooker is the one that was strangled, that choked, the one that Carly saw being choked. Now, Rosie is the second daughter, and Rosie is Beth's daughter. And Beth also has a son as well from Brian. And it sounds like Beth's daughter, Rosie, and her son still have somewhat of a relationship with their father. Jessica and Debbie have no relationship with him. Brian's mother's name is Rita. Rita is Brian's mom. Rita is the one that has the kidney issues that are not life-threatening. She's an elderly lady. She's got kidney issues, and she's being kept alive by the use of, prescriptions, okay? But she's still being kept alive, just like Miss Nancy Guthrie, happy, healthy, sharp as a tack woman that has some ailments, okay? So that's what we're dealing with. So she's not dying. She's not on her deathbed. She is elderly, so, time is limited, and she does have some medical issues, but nothing that just came up. Bruce is Brian's brother. Jennifer is Brian's sister. George is Brian's dad. And this lady is Donna, which is Brian's stepmother. She thinks Brian is bad news. She thinks Brian has lied about Lynette. She liked Lynette. Lynette was, sweet, hey, 503, it's nice to see you. Lynette was a very sweet woman. It sounded like everybody loved Lynette, and Brian was the problem. He was the bad boy. And the good girl loving the bad boy. It is the story, I think, of everybody's lifetime. I mean, we all hear about that. This was truly it. And Brian's, people enabling Brian and his reign of terror of all these years have finally caught up with him. He cannot undo what he has done. He cannot undo this. So it is my opinion, Brian Hooker is going down. It's only a matter of time. We're on Hooker watch. We're on arrest watch. We've been on arrest watch for a little while. I told you guys I believe he would be in jail before any other of our other cases. Our suspects are put in jail. I believe that Brian Hooker is only one test result away from an indictment. So we are still waiting for the indictment to come down. I believe it's getting closer and closer. I believe they have some very strong evidence, and more importantly, I believe they have audio and visual evidence of the crime. That is my my assessment. I believe that they have to, because they don't have her body. They would never know when her specific time of death was, yet they're able to tell us they believe she was dead before 8 p.m. that evening. That means they've got something significant. So I'm going to trust that something significant. So there is your roundabout. We did have some heartfelt cases at the beginning, missing children, a deceased child, somebody found in a closet wrapped tightly in plastic. Those were the breaking news cases before we got involved in our 4 major cases, where we covered the Americans trapped in France wildfires. We went over the uniting of Democrats and Republicans to find out what happened to Mitch McConnell, the new updates or the revelations that are had in the Nancy Guthrie case related to the ransom note and other issues. I truly do believe that all of our answers will be understood or had if we can understand why the assailant was there on the 11th. I think that is critical and key to this whole issue of why Miss Guthrie is missing and why this house was targeted. And then we roll over to the Bahamas, where Lynette Hooker still has not been found. Her husband under heavy scrutiny. We're going to be calling him a murderer from this point on. This is the court of public opinion, not a court of law. I do not bode with the court of law. At the end of the day, we speak what we speak on this channel. And as far as I can see, he is a murderer and he killed his wife. And we're just waiting for enough evidence to be found for him to be held accountable for the first time in his life for what he does. And that's what I'm waiting for. I'm waiting for, and I will be cheering on accountability for Brian Hooker. It sounds like he's had a lifetime of not being accountable to anybody and lying his way through life. And finally, it's all caught up with him. And now we get to see the fruit. Unfortunately, it's sad that Lynette had to lose her life for him to finally be accountable and be held accountable. But, you know, this is the walk. And I feel bad for her daughter, Carly, and her mom, Darlene, as well as her dad and their whole family. You know, they knew that this call may come in one day, and they were praying to God that they didn't get it, but they did. And this always brings us back to another talking point about the lethality of domestic violence. And we need to remember that this is very dangerous, and so many people hide it and feel like it's their fault, or feel like this is just life, or feel like it's not that bad, they'll never lose their life. But let me just tell you guys, all these people that died from domestic violence, they thought just like you. But once it gets to a life-threatening situation, you're usually dead. Because there's no coming back, there's no second chances. When it gets to the point where you realize that he could kill you, you're dead. You're dead. So if you're in a violent situation, if you're in a domestic violence situation, if you're around somebody that doesn't know how to control their anger or their behavior, please leave. Please don't be a statistic. Please don't show up on my channel. It would kill me if I have to debut one of the coffee club members on my channel. It would kill me. I think it would kill just about everybody in our chat. It would be very, very hard for us to do that. We would do it, but we have so much advocacy here on this channel, so it doesn't happen to you. I hope it never does. So please, if you guys are being injured, it always starts verbally. Then it starts slamming hands next to your face, right? It goes where they just scare you. Okay? Sometimes that scaring, it's only going to be there for so long before they start acting on all the anger that they show you to scare you. And then it goes from them just trying to scare you and screaming at you and being this close to your face and smacking the wall above your head to that hand now starting to hit you. It's all progressive. It just doesn't start where you're dating them and then they start beating on you. No, it starts with your friends. Who are you going out with? Where are you going? What are you doing? To them blowing up your phone every time you're not around them. This is all the prerequisites to abuse. So if you're seeing any of these red flags before it gets to the physical part, it's time for you to leave. It is time for you to leave. If every time shit hits the fan and it's always your fault, it's time to leave. We cover too many cases on this show where people had all the opportunities to leave and they lost their life. Please don't be a victim of domestic violence. If you feel you need help, please get help. Seek help today. You can go anywhere and look for the national, we'll put it up here, National Domestic Violence You would think that they would want this bigger. There we go. Took me a little while to get there. There we go. So here you go. If you guys need the national hotline, if you need to find a plan, need to get a plan together to get yourself out of a domestic violence situation, this is your call to action, folks. This is your call to action. You do not need to live like that. I don't care if they're paying for everything. It's not worth your life. No amount of money or items or things or trinkets or jewelry or money, none of it's worth you. You are priceless. You are priceless. Give yourself the ability to live life to your fullest. If you're in a domestic violence situation, please get out today. Make a plan. If you don't know what to do, reach out 800-799-7233. Start making it known that the person is abusing you. If you're not going to leave, make it be known so people, if something happens to you, they know who to go to. Okay? They know who to go to. Please don't be a victim of domestic violence. Again, 800-799-7233. I hope somebody seeks help that's in a domestic violence today. All right, guys, we can never end domestic violence, but we can certainly try each and every day. We have enough cases here of domestic violence. Please pray for the people in France and Spain, and pray for the Americans trapped. We do appreciate all your viewership. Please don't forget to share our show. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up button, like, make a comment. All these things help bring the conversation, and it gives us new talking points to be had. I know I don't pay attention too much to our chat, and I do apologize for that. Let me just come over here and say thanks to all the people that have supported our channel this morning. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We've got Melanie. We have Peggy. Frank It Up. Good morning. Where's my song? My birthday song. Woo woo! I hope I did not displease you. Hope you enjoyed your birthday song, Phil. Thank you for the coffee. Lori, thank you, thank you, thank you. And of course, Reckham, Texas Tech. Our Miss Robin. It's nice to see you. It's nice to see you. And Let Them 66. Thank you, thank you, thank you for the stars. We do appreciate each and every one of you. And we had a little fun with the cards. It's been a while since we pulled cards out and read them and stuff like that. So we had 2 with the cards, and I gotta tell you, they were great. They were great. They inspired me. And I know if they inspired me, they had to inspire all of you. So guys, have a great day. Happy Monday. Happy Manic Monday. We will be back later this afternoon. I think I'm going to try to do a breaking news show on crime stories. We're going to be doing it here in the next hour or 2. So if you haven't subbed up to our other channel, please consider subbing up. We've got some crazy news around this country that I like to debut on our other channel, and we haven't been able to do that. And remember, tomorrow, I'm going to be at a meeting tomorrow, folks, so we're going to be running our live at 6 a.m. in the morning, 6 a.m. So if you guys are on the replay crew, these are the days that I need support from the coffee club more than anything, because I'm out of the office. I'm not here to do the research. So the shows that I do have, and I need the support. So please don't forget, even if you're not up at 6 a.m., we still need your viewership. We still need your support, your like, share, and subscribe for those shows while I am advocating, because the avocation is one of the reasons why we have this show to begin with. It's so that I can be politically active in the state of Florida, and I had to find a way to be able to do that, right, without having to sell every single thing I had like I used to. So that's kind of where we are, you know, and it's been working out really well. We have a way to inspire people to get involved through our true crime, and we're activists in our own community. I'm trying to move closer to Tallahassee to be more state. Have more state activity. I definitely recommend people that want to be activists. I'm happy to work with you. If you want to do something more in your own community, reach out to me. I'm happy to give you my playbook on how to effectively affect change. So anyways, rock it out with your coffee beans out. Don't forget to be fearless. If you see something, say something. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And until next time, please be safe, but more importantly, kind to one another. And Lisa B. always, I just want to let you know, I did not touch the settings. I did not touch the settings. And we had a beautifully ran show. So just thought I'd throw that out there. You guys have an amazing day, and we will see you here in the near future. God bless.